don't know why they let people like him go to our school anyway. And I'm not the only one. My folks don't like it a bit.
Boy, my dad made it plain I wasn't to associate with him. How you gonna keep...
I don't know, I felt like I was sort of like, you know, that's the gay kids, you know, whatever, kind of written off. My mom was really afraid for me and for her in my elementary school, you know.
We did not grow up in a very tolerant town. And I don't want to reaffirm the connections between, you know, like small town and closed-mindedness, but there weren't, you know, I didn't have access to like GLBT centers or any kind of community center in that kind of way. There was no connection with the queer community that my mother had growing up, and no connection that I had.
There weren't really like many other kids, or like really any other kids that I knew of. I mean, there were around. Like, we all kind of knew who each other were, whose kids had like gay parents or something like that. But like no one would really talk about it.
For me and for high school, I think it was more kind of like, you know, that's cool, your mom's lesbian, you know, you're more alternative. That makes you even cooler. And
I personally never really received like that much hatred or like, you know, people making fun of me because of my family. But there were times that it would really hit me hard when I would see someone else do it to another student. And like that would just like really tick me off. And there were some times that I kind of just pushed it aside and ignored it. And there were some times that I just would go off on the person.
You know, I didn't want to say it because of the teasing, you know. I mean, that first memory with the books, I mean, that, you know, you don't want to deal with that. So she probably, remember, she pulled all the books off the shelf or whatever, too. I had had enough with it that I decided that like, I don't care. You know what I mean? It's my mom. I love my mom. She takes care of me. And if anyone wants to say something about it, well, then they have to speak to me.
That was not really something I ever tolerated. I didn't, you know, I wasn't friends with the kids that picked on the other kids, and I wasn't, that was just always something I tried to stay clear of.
You know, sometimes I would like totally open up the person's head and be like, yo, like what you just said to them, like, hurts me. But it hurts me because I love people, because I love my family, because I love my friends, who are who they are.
We can talk our troubles out this way. We're really growing up and growing together. Sure helps a lot when you can bring things out in the open, talk them out together.
Language affects all of us very strongly, no matter how you identify.
Like, I mean, I still catch myself saying some of the things that, you know, that are commonplace, you know, you hear, like, especially, like, sometimes I'll be like, that's gay.
I remember the first time I can really remember hearing the popularity of the insult of "that's gay" was in 4th grade. It made me feel pretty uncomfortable, and I actually remember at one point trying to not be so much of an outsider. I remember there was one day I used gay as an insult, and I still feel really guilty about it now. And my kid brother, who tries to keep me honest, he's a really great guy, called me out on it and was like, Mom says not to use words like that in front of everyone, and I was kind of embarrassed, and then I never used it again.
It really definitely depends on how it's being used. There's a difference between like someone who's gay saying that's gay, and then someone who's like straight and just really homophobic saying that, and in the way where it means being stupid.
In high school, boys call shit gay, that's gay, you're gay, this is gay. But I just sort of, you know, selectively ignored it.
And now I understand that it has come, you know, made a full circle in the sense that, you know, like, you can use it as a term for empowerment, or you can, you know, like use it to like greet one of your peers, you know, like in a respectful way. But I still choose, I would never do that. I still choose not to do that.
I never used to say that when I was in high school. I never ever like used that as like any kind of disrespectful way, any kind of like put down or anything like that, because I was just like, that pissed me off.
When I see other people doing it, it's hard for me not to judge them, but I do, I do sometimes, and I think it makes them look ignorant.
Mike isn't troubled by the fact that Virginia still has her own work to do once in a while. They've long since stopped worrying about who's breadwinner and who's housemaker. Mike's dignity is much more flexible since he discovered that a wet baby loves whoever changes her, male or female.
You guys being nice. Come here, Bears. Kobe, do. Come here. Kobe, come here, buddy. There's, you have to be in society, right? And men do these things, and there's social expectations and things that guys want to do that you would want to do as a guy, hanging out with other guys, doing guy things. I like to do guy things.
So I've always had this idea, that it's okay to be feminine or effeminate. I was really, really femme when I was younger.
Context can create an identity that you don't necessarily choose. Typically, when we understand a woman, we understand it as in relation to a man, and seeing a household that didn't have a male head of the household was really important for me.
I come from a family where all the women, they run it. I mean, it's all of them running it. All the men die real young, not real young, but before the women do, and they kind of take these backstage roles where the women, I think, are really on the forefront.
I don't like sports at all. I don't care. It's a weird thing. But I'm very accepted by a lot of guys, you know what I mean?
We're kind of confused, oh, I was supposed to do this, but I'm not supposed to do that because I'm a boy or something.
But I have a lot of things that, I like house music, which is, to most straight men, very gay music.
I think that having a queer mother definitely impacted my understandings of gender.
My willingness to dialogue about sexuality and sexual orientation is definitely affected by me growing up in a queer home.
She wasn't teaching me that you should challenge these roles and then be a lesbian, or you should challenge these roles and be queer. It was you should just challenge these roles for yourself and not really how you. Well, yes, how you relate to other people as well.
I think I did understand that there are more options to being a woman or to being who I am than the two that are presented for me.
And if you're not just going along with the stereotypes, if you're, kind of creating a new idea of what it means to be a man or what it means to be a woman, then say it, stand up for it.
I like muscle cars. Yeah.